Okay, what is Chambers of My Heart? What is that?
Hey guys, it's your humble host, or Kayla if you prefer. So I'm back with another video. This isn't really a Save James update, but more of going over an article that was released by Alex C. Baker August 5th. It was brought to my attention a few days ago. I tried to do a response video to it the other night, but yeah, it didn't work out, so I'm going to try this again. So, because this is a 10-minute read, I'm not going to go over the entire thing, but there's a screenshot I want to really touch base on, because when I saw it, I got enraged. It is from a 21-page document linked in this article of a gender assessment for James Younger. So the reason for the article, from what I can gather from what I read, is that Alex is addressing a message or an email that he nicknames KL, a mother, that she sent him a few critiques, or I don't know if it was a browbeating, I'm not entirely sure, but let me read you the opening statement here and you'll kind of get the idea. A couple people who oppose gender-affirming care on children have taken me to task for releasing the gender assessment of little 12-year-old James Younger. Don't you know that you're violating James' right to privacy? One person wrote. A mother named KL messaged me to complain that by violating court orders, our side loses credibility, and that's why we're losing in court. Oh no. Nobody has been more critical than I about poor strategy under charging defendants in D-trans cases. As I said here, the Harmeet Dillon handling of Chloe Cole and Layla Jade cases is a travesty. She is suing Kaiser merely for negligence rather than medical battery and fraud. To cut to the chase, if you think medical privacy laws protect anyone but the bad guys, I beg to differ. Look at the DOJ's outrageous political prosecution of whistleblower Dr. Ethan Ham. Ham is being prosecuted criminally for allegedly leaking documents proving Children's Hospital in Texas was still doing gender surgeries after they had stated they were not going to, and on the eve of it becoming illegal in that state. I believe KL expresses a view held by a lot of well-meaning people. I'm going to respond to KL's points below to explain why I think she is misguided and why we must do everything possible to expose what is actually going on behind the scenes, including, when necessary, publishing documents deemed top secret. So, a few things. As I said, I encourage you guys to read the full-length article yourselves. It's about like a 10-minute read. Pace yourselves going through the gender assessment because there's a lot of lies, and there's a screenshot that Alex posts from page 5 that really got my blood boiling because it's lies, and you can tell it's Anne talking, not James. Anyway, to continue with what Alex is saying here, so Jeff isn't quote-unquote losing the court case because stuff is getting leaked. If anything, it has wakened up a lot of people, it has caused pushback, and it has brought attention to the forefront of a lot of people's minds that this is something that's actually happening. Let me speak from experience, okay? So when I first heard about this case, because I spoke about this in my videos, I talked about it, I believe, in my article, A Father's Battle. I'll link that in the description below, along with Alex's article here, is that when I first heard about this, I thought it was the right, at the time, just, going around trying to scare people, because I was a live and let live type person, or at least I try to be. So I came across the original SaveJames.org website through an article, The Federalist, which I believe is owned by Walt Hare. If you don't know who that is, Walt Hare detransitioned quite a few years ago. He lived as a woman, for 8 years. And he talks about his own story. And so I read this article from The Federalist. And I'm thinking, there's no way in hell this is happening. This is too crazy. to be happening right now. But I saw the website, I saw the court documents, I saw the blog. So I was like, holy moly, this is an actual thing. Let's start covering this. And that's how I started to help cover, and eventually I came to help run the Save James page on Facebook. So, because of the court documents, which at the time, let me also clarify, the page, the original website was started by Jill and Sarah Scott. This is before Anne started to freak out and realized that people were collecting stuff and keeping it in one place. So at the time, the case was not sealed. All the original documents were bought and paid for by the Scotts and posted on this website. And her legal team did not like this because people did not have to go and search. They didn't have to go digging themselves. It was all right there, out in the open, being exposed. Hey, public, look at what I have. So Anne was very vehemently against this, as well as her legal team at the time, Coons-Filler. So that's why the website got shut down. That is why Anne wanted to seal the documents. There's also a YouTube channel that showed James and Jude in their natural state playing with their other friends. It was the Scott's kids, and I think there was another family. I have all those videos. I have a lot of this that was documented from back then. So what Alex is currently doing, what Jeff Morgan has done in the past, and what I've done in the past, is we have come to know that the longer this stuff stays hidden in the dark, the more destruction is caused to children like James. And hopefully, God willing, we have a miracle, because there has been stuff spoken over the case that this will break, but didn't say how, didn't say when, but I do feel it's going to be very soon. This is a pretty much David and Goliath scenario that we are facing. Rather, Jeff is facing, and many of us are helping him in what ways we can. So the documentation has helped create this pushback from the Cass report, the Walpath files, other court cases that have come to the light with stuff being exposed. Like, I get a children's privacy, 100% I get it. But when you have, and I'm going to go over the screenshot here in a few seconds, when you have stuff like this 21-page document that is full of nothing but lies, and the stuff that was revealed during the 2019 court hearing of October, where Anne was pretty much just allowed to do whatever she wanted because she was a pediatrician, that stuff needs to be exposed. Let me show you what I mean, because I can personally attest to this. So let's look at the screenshot. I'm going to make this bigger for you guys. And I actually like how he took snippets of this and screenshot and focused on certain parts. Does make this a bit easier. Okay, so let me make sure that you guys can see this. Excellent. Okay, so this is from page 5. Patient is a 11-year-old transgender female person seeking services to do, and I quote, "I'm here for the gender assessment. So I can get puberty suppression because I look more masculine if I don't. That's bad because I'm a girl. It's pretty far back that I knew I was a girl ever since I can remember. I just knew. I would always play with girls' toys and dolls. My dad would make me play football. It sucked. Boys are crazy over sports and they get mad. It also wasn't fun because I wasn't the one signing up for it. I was forced. It was normal to be called the other name and pronoun, but I didn't like it, but I would put up with it," and quote, "Mom, quote, Luna was 3.5 when she said she is a girl. The first thing she told us was call me sister. If I said the boys, she would say the kids. If I used him, she would sometimes correct me," end quote. Okay, so there's a lot of lies in here, and we're going to start with the 2019 court hearing when I went to go document, and this is my first time doing it. So a couple of things. So the first lie is that James, quote unquote, this is Anne talking. There's two things going on here. Number one, this is either a script fed to James that he is so brainwashed and indoctrinated, and as I've told Jeff and Gwen, he's in survival mode. If you do not know, there is a speculation, and it has been alleged that if James and Jude step out of line, especially with this stuff, they get beaten. Okay? So that is what's being alleged. It is what's being speculated. So let's continue. James very much mimicked his father. And we have pictures of this, of him dressing up in a bow tie and all sorts of stuff. And then because I'm going to kind of skip around to some of these because they kind of tie in. The mom quote here saying that Luna was 3.5 years old when she said she was a girl. There's a video. This is why Jeff started to document this stuff. Because when he was talking to James, and this is after they divorced, so there's been a timeline established that after the divorce, Anne started to feed to James that he was a girl. Jeff has this on video. If Jeff did not get that documentation, it wouldn't be a foundation for all of this. That video is so important, and when people cover the case, that is the very first video that is shown. Okay, so that's the very first documentation of all of this. Now, let's talk about the football stuff. Okay? So the football stuff, it was flag football that Jeff wanted to sign up James and Jude for, and both of the boys want to play. We have a picture on the Save James of Jeff and James standing on the sidelines watching Jude at practice for flag football because Anne tried to sign James up as a girl for flag football behind Jeff's back. Jeff went, hell no, and James wasn't allowed to play. I'm not kidding. So by Alex exposing this document, the amount of garbage and lies right here, just in this little snapshot, I can personally attest to, and it's on the page. It's on the Save James page, which, by the way, Anne and her legal team have tried to take down multiple times. They just tried to do it recently. Hopefully you saw the article that was posted about a month ago where Anne and her new legal team, Chazan, try to ask for all the documentation of the case in its entirety from California to Texas to be taken down by Jeff. Jeff has no control over that stuff, and I'll be damned if I'm taking any of that stuff down. Alex isn't going to remove anything, and neither is Jeff Morgan, and neither will anybody else who has copies of those documents or those videos. So the more that this has been brought out in the open, just this specifically shows just how dark and messed up this is. A lot of people still don't think that this is happening, KO. So you have people like Alex C. Baker, Jeff Morgan, myself, people who have done the CAS report, which is a 4-year review of the gender-affirming medical care in the UK. You have the Wolfpack people. You have a lot of people that went, we need to start documenting this stuff. This needs to be exposed, whether that's court documents, medical files, and it sucks that it has come to that. It really does, but a lot more people are talking about it. Chloe Cole has talked about her own journey. You have, I believe, she also had an interview with Layla Jade. That's the other girl that was mentioned that transitioned from female to male and then detransitioned because both of them woke up and realized like what had really happened. They got used and abused by Big Pharma. A lot of people, as I said, and I cannot emphasize enough, don't realize that this is happening. They don't believe that this is happening. I still have people, I still see comments to this day. Oh, well, this isn't happening because it's Texas. It's been happening for a while. So to say, oh, well, wait, that you guys are losing the court case or Jeff's losing the court case because he's exposing stuff. No, let me show you just how messed up this is. So there's a snippet, and as I said, I encourage you guys to read the article. Please, please, please read the articles for yourselves. So I'm going to do a keyword search because I really want you to look at this. Okay, so because I saw this and craziness, absolute craziness. So starts off with this bit. What good is credibility if you never get to speak? KL says to be credible, we need to cite to relevant case holdings. There is no case holdings for Save James. There is nothing similar to this case that has been documented in court at all. Like there is just no. Of course, supporting an argument citations to case law is legal writing 101. And he's not, he's a paralegal, if you guys don't know. But he is correct from everything that I've seen. And as I've told you guys, I have no legal expertise, but usually with cases that do come up, lawyers will try to cite past cases that are similar and that will help their argument. That is a thing. It's encouraged if you do it properly, and if you mess that up, well, you're going to make yourself look really dumb. Anyway, let's continue. But again, KO misses the forest for the trees. True. Along with attorney Tracy Henderson, I wrote a motion to set aside the Star Chamber order with numerous citations to relevant case holdings. And if you guys don't know what he's referencing, because he talked about it in his last article, Star Chamber order to where it is a secret court hearing. The public's not allowed to it, and apparently no court reporter. Listen to this. It was unopposed. Judge Juha similarly dismissed it as a top secret hearing on July 12th with no court reporter. Same with all of our motions. Good grief. So if you guys don't know what a court reporter is, if you've been in a hearing of any type, you have the judge, you have somebody else sitting off to the side, whether I believe left or right, I don't think it matters too much, but it's someone else on a computer. And what this person is doing is anytime somebody talks, whether it's the lawyer, the judge, the defendant, the plaintiff, the witness, what have you, this person is sitting there typing as they speak, differentiating who's talking at that time and what they say. If you guys have ever seen a court transcript, you will see when the judge talks, they're labeled as court. When the prosecution talks, labeled as prosecution, or sometimes the name of the prosecuting lawyer. If you see defendant talking, that's differentiated too. So that is what makes court transcripts. They are text documentation, they are typed out documentation of what was spoken in the courtroom. There's also court recordings too, depending on the courthouse and what have you. But the fact that July 12th, and he's also saying this, same with all of our motions, there has not been a court reporter for any of this. There is no documentation. They want to keep this stuff hidden as much as possible. Let me tell you something that happened during the October 2019 hearing. Now, this started from an innocent mistake on my part to actually targeting me, trying to get me thrown in jail. Let me explain. So this was my first time documenting any type of hearing like this, okay? And I went on my own volition. I was not paid, nothing like that. So I started to take pictures of everybody, including the jury. I did not know I was supposed to not do that. I rectified that mistake very quickly, and I did not do it again. However, when a particular witness for Anne, Rebecca Orr, which was an LGBT counselor for James, who wrote a letter of recommendation for gender affirming care for James back in Texas, I had the bailiff sent after me again, accusing me of posting photos of the jury when I just posted pictures of Abel Tabatis, which was another LGBT counselor for James, and had James seen a few of them. It was Kunspiller, Jessica Jancik's co-counsel, Lauren, I forget her name, or Laura, and I had just posted a picture of Anne looking haggard, and I believe of Jessica Jancik herself. So I literally had to go out, pull these pictures down, blot out the people in the background, put them back up. But you know what this did? This took away time from me hearing Rebecca Orr and her testimony and what she had to say and being able to write it down. I missed half of what she said because of this stunt. They did not want me documenting anything. It was brought to my attention during the dinner party that allegedly Anne didn't want me anywhere near the boys. Keep that internet blogger away from the boys. Because here's the thing, KL. I am not media. I am not a lawyer. I am just somebody who knows how to do things. I do not make money off of my YouTube channel. I do not make money when I write an article once in a blue moon. I work a 9 to 5. I have a normal job. So what I was doing scared the living hell out of them. What Jeff Morgan was doing scared the living hell out of them. What Alex C. Baker is currently doing scares the living hell out of them, and rightfully so. And let me also tell you something else, too. So, this is what happened, because this was brought to my attention, and I believe I talked about this in my article, The War Continues. It's the second article I wrote. I'll also put it in link in the description, where it was brought to my attention that the Texas Supreme Court made it to where the courthouses in Dallas, Texas did not have to stream on YouTube anymore, but you physically had to go to the courthouse if you wanted to see the hearing. Do you know why? The reason is this. Me and Jeff Morgan, because I started doing this because I said the hell with this, Judge May Brown was streaming her hearings on YouTube, and there was even some Zoom calls that I was able to get into because it was public. So I sat on some hearings for about a year, and I just dumped everything I had it. I don't have kids. I am very terrified of having kids because of stuff like this. So I dumped everything. Jeff Morgan has some stuff. He still has some stuff. And when Anne and her legal team saw this, when the Texas Supreme Court saw this, I'm not BSing you when I say this, they made it to where people physically have to go to the courthouse now to see the hearings. You cannot record in the courthouse. Now, whether or not you can still bring a pen and paper, I have no idea. I have no idea how ridiculous it's gotten. But because of mine and Jeff's, and currently Alex C. Baker's ability to document these things, also the page has been also a great documentation, and that is being run by a couple of us. We have created, or rather awakened a lot of people, and we're not the only group to do this. Documentation and exposure is very, very important. Now, there's a proper way to go about it, and as Alex C. Baker said, is that when the case calls for it, top secret documents need to be exposed. This is a perfect example. There is no going on this. Family court doesn't obey the law, doesn't obey the rules. Anne and her legal team didn't obey the law, didn't obey the rules. They still have it. There's still things that are not being honored. The courtroom, LA Superior Court, has been sealed off to the public illegally. The case files have been sealed illegally to where Jeff can't even get them. And I don't even think Tracy Henderson has access to them. So they want to hide stuff because they want to continue to do the things that they do. Notice, like, I'm going to bring up the Cass report too, okay? So if you don't know what the Cass report is, I encourage you to look into that, KL, because that is 4 years. 4 years of going through and assessing gender-affirming care and going through medical documentation, emails by medical professionals, higher-ups, what have you. That is a 4-year process. And because of their documentation exposure, it got shut down in the UK. It is completely done. Now, you have the BMA, the British Medical Association, trying to push back and trying to review the cast within a month, which I think is hilarious. They are that pissed off that they lost a good chunk of their money because anybody who goes through that process is attached to Big Pharma for life. Okay? So the BMA is pissed that they lost a good chunk of their money. Big chunk. Okay? And so the Cass report, the Wolpath files are documentation and exposure of medical reports. This is why people do this, because it alerts the public, hey, this is what's going on. It alerts other professionals who are also in the field to like, hey, this is what's going on. Please help. Where do you stand with this? So Alex C. Baker releasing this stuff, my past documentation, I'm not current, I don't have anything current unless it's released by Alex C. Baker. As far as I know, he's the only one that's releasing this stuff at the moment. Jeff Morgan's past documentation, other people's past documentation on the interview Jeff Younger has done is also documentation and testimony to what's been going on. So KL, I understand, as Alex put it, is you have your well-intentioned but you're also very ignorant and naive. And something tells me you have not, either you haven't gone through the process yourself, which I don't wish that hell on anybody, or you have and you didn't have corrupt people break the laws. And there's once in a blue moon where you have the process go, and the individuals, the judge and the lawyers are not corrupt, and the process goes as it's supposed to. There's a nice little end quote Alex puts here, and I love this. And I'm going to read this last little bit, but please go through this, pace yourselves with a gender assessment, document. It's 21 pages because there's a lot to it. And just, as I showed you guys, page 5 made my blood boil. Because there are several things where I went, nope, this is Anne, or this is Zoe. For those of you guys who don't remember, Zoe is Anne's daughter, and Anne is also in on this stuff, and was exposed to also be pushing this trans crap. That was during their early coverage, quite a few years ago when I first started to cover Save James. Anyway, let's read this last bit, and I'm going to end it off here. The entire transgender movement is involuntary human medical experimentation. True. Big hospitals and big pharma are getting even richer. Yes. And that is why BMA is mad, because they just had a good chunk of their money go out the window. Thanks to the Cass report. Children are being sterilized and mutilated, while the pedophiles and perverts are enjoying a population of young people who are chronically 18 years old, but physically, mentally, and emotionally self-pubescent. Yep, there's pedophilia attached to this. He's not wrong, and it's really, really messed up. If you follow Libs of TikTok, if you follow any of the Twitter accounts that kind of label themselves as TERF, they talk a lot about creepy men and how they will go into the bathrooms and start to take pictures. There's documentation of that. There's articles. So yeah, that's a thing. KO tries me one last time. Catching them at their unconstitutional games means crossing T's and dotting I's. I cannot tell you how many times somebody has said something similar to that. It is as if all the laws are fair and good. The entire problem with the world is that some people break the law, KO. Yes. Do you not realize that everything that happened in Nazi Germany was perfectly legal? Yes. That is a perfect example. It was perfectly legal to kill a certain population, and not just the Jewish people, but the disabled people, anybody who was deemed worthless to German society. It was legal back then to do all that. The problem with gender-affirming care is not that people don't follow the rules. The problem is that almost nobody's willing to break the rules. And that is true. So when rules are established with this gender-affirming care, laws are placed that are immoral, by the way, highly immoral. And so because even the Bible talks about this, when the laws of the land go against God, it is our duty to break those laws. And I'm going to say that very carefully. And with this transgender stuff, what they're doing, yes, do not follow their rules. Do not. As I said, the court documents, the medical exposure, Cass, Walpath, I cannot emphasize that enough. It is very important, and it has created a tidal wave of change. It has gotten stuff shut down. There's other countries, because of the Cass report, that went, we're done. This needs to stop. U.S. is the only one who's still doing this nonsense, but because of the documentation, the exposure of medical files and studies and emails and all kinds of things is why change is happening to begin with. In order to bring about change, you have to expose stuff. You have to bring it to the surface. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. And that is what's going on. That is what's been going on. That's what needs to continue going on, KO. So if I came across rude, I'm not trying to be, but no. And I kind of hope, because I was actually surprised that this got released after Alex got banned from the courtroom and things like that. So I wonder if he has more stuff, or if this was something that was released the first time and he's just taking the time to pick it apart, which which is great because it makes it easier to digest, and trying to go over 21 pages of lies and indoctrination and brainwashing of a child is very enraging, and I'd rather not. So, to my viewers and anyone else who watches this video, please pace yourselves. If you need to take time away, like, I'm not kidding. As I've said before in my previous videos, I've had to step away or tune certain things out. I haven't even gone through the full raw path of the case reports myself because it's just so enraging and it's mentally taxing. And this stuff is everywhere. So please, 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 for your sanity, pace yourselves. Take it if you need to read one page at a time. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not kidding. But KL, if you're watching, if you come across this video, this is why people like Jeff Morgan, myself, Alex C. Baker, and whoever else is brave enough to do it, does things like this. And I'm glad that there's more of us willing to do this. With that being said, I will see you guys in the next one. Take care and have a good night.